I realized I was different when, as early as age 3, which I know some people may find hard to accept, but I didn't know what I was gay. I just knew I was different. And I was aware of that difference all through elementary school.
I felt there was something very different when I was a teenager, like around 12, 13, because I realized that I was attracted to men, and I couldn't put any words on that. There wasn't even a sexual connotation or whatever, but it just like I didn't understand what was going on.
I was in Catholic school, and I knew then that I was gay, but it took a long time to acknowledge it and to own it, because in Haiti, there's not a lot of awareness of LGBT issues. You don't hear people talking about gays and lesbians in a very positive way. So at a young age, I knew that I am different and I better be quiet, or else I'll get in trouble.
I think for a long time I denied it to myself because I grew up in an environment that was very conservative in the French Alps, and was I didn't know anyone who was like that, and there was no visibility. So it was indeed so scary that I totally denied it for years and years, up to the point where I could not deny it to myself anymore. And then it became very, very scary because, like I said, I didn't know anyone else like that. So I felt I was alone, and I felt I would be alone my whole life, and that was terrifying.
The main fear was really hurting my family and bringing a bad name to a bad reputation, let's say, to my family. I was very worried that I'd lose their love and acceptance, and I was also very worried about people's judgment. And that is a pretty big problem for a lot of us LGBTs.
Family is kind of, as a unit, acquiescing to culture, and culture is kind of shaped by the dominant forces in it, which includes religion. And so in suburban Texas, it's very much whatever the pastor is preaching. I remember being in church in high school and sitting in a congregation of over 1,500 people, and the pastor pretty much saying, you know, gays are evil, Democrats are evil, John Kerry's evil, and that's why our country's going to hell. And you know, you're sitting there going, okay, well, I think I'm gay, and statistically, I think there's other people in here that are like me, and this isn't very loving or accepting, and I don't know what to do with myself. And I don't know, I feel threatened. And so it was that kind of pressure, because then you look over to your parents, and they're sitting there in the same pew, and they're feeling that pressure. And of course they don't want that for their kid. And they feel like it's an attack on them as well.
Yes, I think the most difficult part is not to have anyone to talk to. Not just like a person, but another a gay or lesbian person who knows what it is. Who knows what it is to be a teenager and to be lonely, to be rejected. Someone from experience who can tell, you know, things can get better, and you can live your life and be happy in your life. Yes.
I went into a severe depression, I think. I had very, very dark thoughts when I was in my early 20s. And then I gradually came to accept myself as I was, and try to make the best of life, of what life had to offer. Whatever it was that was out there, I would grab it and take it. And that's how I started rebuilding myself.
I've been at the fund for 12 years, and for the majority of these 12 years, I have not been out to most people I work with. Again, it's because you're scared that you may not get, well, for me anyways, that I may not get promoted, or that I may not be able to work on certain projects because, you know, maybe this person is homophobic and may think that, you know, I'm not qualified because I'm gay. So it took a long time to come out here. It was only last year that I said, okay, it's time to be myself 100% here. And so now most people I work with know that I am gay.
A lot of people at the fund come from societies that are much less welcoming to gay people, and that is a baggage that you don't leave at the door when you come to the IMF. It's very hard to overcome that, I think, for people who come from those societies. And secondly, it's very difficult to know ahead of time and even afterwards whether being gay at the fund might hurt your career. I don't have any evidence that it hurt my career at all, but you don't know. And so it takes a little bit of certainly a threshold to go over to say, I think it's okay.
We have so many different people from all over the world working here, and their ideas of sexuality, of orientation, of how things are supposed to be, it's all very different. You have anything from progressive Western countries to traditional Eastern countries or African nations or Latin America. Everybody has a different perspective. And so the great thing about the fund is that because there's so much diversity, there's less pressure on you whenever it's your difference. Whatever is different about you, it's okay because almost everybody here has something different. And that's what's kind of encouraging for people to really share who they are. And I think specifically for LGBT staff at the fund, it's much better than other workplaces.
I adopted my first son in 1999, and there was no adoption leave for men. Now, this was a gender issue, and I spoke to HRD, and they said, oh, I guess you're right. Men should have adoption leave. So that was important because gay men adopt children. And then the big thing was to get a recognition of domestic partnerships. And I think the fund was relatively early as an employer to go towards almost full benefits for domestic partners.
I've never had a bad experience here at the fund. My husband has had same-sex benefits, benefits for same-sex couples, health insurance for the past, I would say, 7-8 years. We are looked upon as just any other couple. Our kids have medical insurance and are viewed as anybody else's kids. And it really has not been an issue here at the fund, and I'm very thankful for that.
I think the fund is making a huge effort and has done that over the past 15 years. The equalization of benefits, I think, while it took a while, certainly put the fund in the mainstream of employers in the United States, which certainly is very much ahead of employers in many other countries. So as an international organization, I think the fund has been very active in promoting equal benefits for gay people. And I think I've always been very impressed with that.
It really does get better. I can't imagine 20 years, 25 years ago, that I would be where I am. I'm working where I want to work. Who I am is not a problem. I'm living where I want, the city that I love, and I have this great family. And I never would have expected that 25 years ago.
You know, it took a long time, but this was my journey, and now I can fly, I can do whatever I want. I'm happy at my job, I'm happy in my life, my family. The balance is good. It's just right. So yeah.
Wherever you are, whatever you're going through, hang in there, because it does get better. It gets so much better. It can get better to a point that you cannot even imagine. And no matter how dark it can be, right now, how lonely you may feel, hang in there, because it will get better.
I heard the stories, and I can understand how lonely they must have felt. I'll tell you a story. One of my cousins, dearest cousin, who is now in his mid-60s, spent most of his life hiding, pretending, covering up. He grew up in a very conservative Catholic family with a loving but very dominating mother. And he always pretended, never came out. Until very late in her life, when she was really sick. And I told Alain, I said, you have to tell her before she goes. And at that point in his life, he was in his mid-50s then, he had the courage to tell her at the last hour. And she said, I've always known. Why didn't you tell me? I love you and I will always love you. So for him, it got really better from there on. But I know how lonely one feels in those circumstances. And I have to tell you, I'm really proud to head an organization where we want people to be who they are, whether they are lesbians, gay, bisexual, transsexual, any religion, old, young, European, Africans, Asian, men or women. Everybody has to be able to be who they are. And they have to be comfortable, respected, proud of their difference. And we at the Fund have to do everything we can to help that, to help it get better.